this is James here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting December the 23rd, 2019. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining me for this week's video reading. You probably can hear it in my voice that I am getting on the other side of a cold. At least that's what I think it was. So what happened? Funny story. You know, it's not funny haha, just funny interesting. The last video that I shot for the channel, for the Oracle Outlook video series, was on December the 8th, because I remember I made a point to mention the date in the video. So that was a Sunday afternoon, and I was down to the wire about getting the next reading up on the channel, posted for that week on time. And so shortly after filming that video, that evening, I started feeling what I normally know to be a cold coming on. It just kind of came on all of a sudden. But it came on after I had my 2-day migraine event. So I think the migraine kind of maybe set that in motion. And so it started Sunday night, and then I woke up Monday morning and it went downhill from there. And so that was the 9th. I'm filming this on Friday afternoon. It is the 20th of December, and so that gives you some idea that how long it's been. It's been almost 2 weeks to the, a few days short of 2 weeks, and I'm still in my process of recovery. So those of you who are observant will know that I did not film a video for last weekend. That is why. So I'm still in my process of recovery, but I'm feeling like I want to go ahead. I'm feeling like they talk about in Hollywood how the show must go on, right? At some point, the show's got to go on. And so I'm feeling energetically, I'm feeling able to do this, even though my voice doesn't sound so great, but this is usually my tell that I'm getting on the other side. So I know it's strange, but that's how my body is wired. That's how it works. So enough of that. So now, if you are keeping a close eye on the date, then you know, if you are in the United States of America like I am, that we are moving closer to the Christmas holiday, and for those who may celebrate Kwanzaa, which usually starts the day after Christmas. So we are going to be observing those festivities this week with that in mind. Even during my process of recovery, I was still thinking and dreaming about the cards, so I may talk about that at some other point in time. But I was inspired to create, so to speak, it just kind of came to me in the moment, a particular layout suited for the holidays. And so the deck that I want to work with, in light of that Christmas and the idea, one of the things with Christmas being the spirit of giving and gift giving, that I wanted to work with one of the decks that was given to me as a gift. So I'm going to be working with the Nosferatu Lenormand. It is by Crohn's Bones. And if you remember a few months back in October, I was surprised with this gift, and I did a video walkthrough. If you haven't seen it and you want to see the entire deck, I should say, in all its glory, I will leave a link to that particular video walkthrough. It was my first ever, in the description box below. I will also be leaving information about the deck, so you can order it through Crohn's Bones directly if you fancy it. And I will be leaving that information in the description box as well. So again, we're going to be working with the Nosferatu Lenormand by Crohn's Bones. And now that I've finally set things up, let's get to the table and see what the Lenormand has to say about the festivities possibly for the week ahead. And here we are with the cards on the table, and I'm going to take a few moments to shuffle the deck. And as I shuffle, I'm focusing on my usual intention for these general readings, and that is for the information, for the insight, for the guidance and advice to come through the cards that's going to be most helpful and beneficial as we move through the upcoming week. Feeling one more time will be good. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. I'm going to fan the cards out. And now I'm going to be going through the fan, picking 7 cards that are getting my attention. And even though I was recovering from being sick, a spread idea came to mind, so it consists of 7 cards. I'm looking for the final card. They all seem to be in the same area this week. Okay, so those are the cards. I'm going to take the remainder of the deck and move that to one side. And now I'm going to count back. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those are my cards. And so now here's my spread idea. Because we are moving closer towards Christmas here in the United States where I currently live, and Kwanzaa, those are the holidays that are going to be observed throughout the week, this idea came to me. Keeping with the spirit of Christmas, I had a layout of a Christmas tree pop into my head. So it goes like this. So the cards start with card 1. It goes at the base. This is the base of the tree, right? So if you're like me and you have an artificial tree, this is your tree stand, right? So this is like the root or the foundation or the underlying influence for the week ahead. And then the next few cards form the tree itself. And so I'll have to take a look as I'm laying the cards down because of space. I may have to kind of tighten this. But the tree starts here, and then we go closer to the top. If you're no stranger, this is similar to seeing me lay out the pyramid spread in a way. What I like about these spreads when they pop into my head is that they're all similar in terms of layout. So it's not too hard to change them up or remember them or anything like that. So this would be the tree, right? So we have it going up and down. And then the final card goes at the top. This would be, depending on what you put at the top of your tree, so this could be, you imagine this could be the star, or this could be an angel, you know, just like any kind of tree topper, right? So the way I look at the layout, again, the first card represents the foundation. It's the tree stand. And then the 5 cards here are in the shape of the tree itself, right? So this would represent extensions or the growth and development of this card, right? If this is the root or the foundation, right, or what the situation rests on, then these are aspects of the situation. If you go with the idea that the tree has branches, right? So this is like extensions of this card, or the growth and development if you go with the idea that a tree grows and develops, right, to a point. And then the top of the tree, the final card could represent, you know, the aspiration or the goal or the outcome. And then because this is Lenormand, I also have this in mind, that you could pair the outer ends of the bottom of the tree, right? You could pair the inner cards, right? You could read the cards going up one way and then down the other. All the things that I've done over the year with the pyramid spread. And then, of course, you could take the middle column, the top of the tree, and then the tree stand or the tree base, and you could read those all together as a combination. So those are some variations of things you could do with systems where you can combine cards like Lenormand, right? Okay, so we may do some of those depending on where I'm feeling led and guided. So again, starting with the base, this is the underlying influence or the root or the foundation, what the situation is rooted in. And the card is the house card. And I think this is a perfect card to have, and I'll hold it closer just a little bit to the camera. And I think this is a perfect card to have, considering that we are moving into a week of observing holidays, right? And so Christmas in particular is observed with family, right? So that's one of the meanings for the house card. So this represents matters close to home. It represents domestic affairs, domestic matters. It could represent your actual home. I go with the idea of your home life, your personal life, but this is about family. So at the root of it, there may be family type issues that are going to come into play this week, right? House also could be any people that you share living space with. So you may not live with family, or you may not observe the holidays with family, but you may live with certain people. So it could also be that there may be something at work, so to speak, with people who you share living space with. One of the other meanings for house for me is about this sense of feeling a sense of comfort, right? So it could just be a matter of what do we need to do for ourselves and possibly our family so that we all feel a sense of comfort. Personally speaking, the house card for me can come up when we are being encouraged to feel more comfortable in our own skin. So being comfortable with who we are as individuals, right? And some of that could play out in family dynamics this week, right? So those are my meanings for house. House, again, is about home life, personal life. Could be an actual home or real estate or property type situation. But it could also be about family, being quote unquote home for the holidays, that kind of thing. And it's also about a sense of comfort, right? Being comfortable with who you are as a person, maybe being comfortable in your family dynamic, however that goes. For some people, families and family type situations are a big deal. And I don't mean that in a positive sense. Some of us have very challenging issues with family members. So, it's about you being comfortable, in your own home, but also too maybe being comfortable in your own family dynamic, right? So that's house. So now let's start taking a look at the tree and seeing what is going to kind of shape up or grow and develop from that. So card on the bottom here, we have key, right? Okay. So key is a card that can represent answers and solutions. It could represent something being discovered. For me, key can represent discovery, something being revealed. It's a card of revelation. Now, if I go with the idea that, we're sticking with the idea about Christmas and Kwanzaa, observing the holidays and possibly with family, then key could suggest that it's an important time, right? So there's something about that. It makes me feel like if we combine the cards, the first two cards on the table, in the order that they have appeared, house and key, then here we have the idea about family is important, right? Or going the opposite way, the importance of family, right? And so for some people, there may be something being answered or some type of solution is being discovered around a home or a family type situation, right? And the pair could literally be keys to a house, right? So there's that with key. But key in and of itself for me usually represents, again, something being important, an answer or solution, a discovery or revelation, or something having to do with the truth, right? So again, that's key. So now let's take a look at the next card up. And here we have snake. Okay, so now we have a card that represents for me a complication or some kind of problem, right? So if we put the card down, so snake, again, could suggest that there may be something having to do with maybe consequences. That's one of my meanings for snake. So there may be something having to do with a family type situation where some sort of truth is discovered. If I go with the dramatic sense, and I only say the dramatic sense because snake can sometimes represent some type of scandal, right? And so if there is some sort of truth that's revealed or truth that's discovered, there may be either it causes or leads to complications, or that there's going to be some consequences for that revelation. Now we have two people cards on the table. This deck doesn't have the playing card inserts, but I've been working with Lenormand long enough to know that the house card is the King of Hearts. So here we have a married man, husband and father, head of a family, that type of thing. That's how I read the King of Hearts. And then here we have the Queen of Clubs with snake. And so she can represent a friend, a working woman, businesswoman. That's typically how I read the Queen of Clubs, right? So there may be a situation between a man and a woman that's significant, or that there's going to be some sort of truth or answer or solution or some sort of revelation, right? And it may cause some sort of complication, right? Now it could also be too that this is about the head of a household, King of Hearts in house, and again that there may be something that's discovered that leads to some sort of scandal or has some sort of consequence. Right? The snake would represent some sort of entanglement or something that's a long and winding process. Okay. Now, as I said that, I just realized these two cards make me feel like getting to the truth or discovering the truth could be a long and winding process. Like the truth is complicated. It reminds me of that short expression where people say, how are things going? And somebody says it's complicated. That's what I'm seeing with these two cards. Okay, so now let's move up to the next card. And here we have another card that likes to show up when I work with Lenormand quite often, and that's Mountain, right? So now Mountain can represent a block, a challenge, an obstacle. I tend to read it, in my day-to-day draws with Lenormand. It usually represents something like a delay or a setback, right? So that would make sense if we have here the truth or some sort of revelation or some sort of discovery of a complication. Then what are the consequences of that? It leads to a setback. It leads to some kind of delay. It could even be that there's something that's going to be postponed, because I tend to read Mountain as a postponement type card as well. So again, at the root of it, it could be either something having to do with something on the home front, something in one's home life, personal life, something having to do with family or a family member, or something having to do with someone's sense of comfort. Okay. So now let's take a look at the cards on this side of the tree. And here we have bouquet. Okay, so here we have something that comes as a surprise. That's my first go-to meaning for bouquet, is surprise. But bouquet can also represent an invitation. So here we have, with Mountain and bouquet, here we have a delay or setback or postponement regarding an invitation. So now if we go here with this being about the holidays, for some person or some family, there may be some sort of challenge around getting together for the holidays. That's what I'm seeing here with this, with Mountain and bouquet especially. Or that there's going to be something having to do with a gift, because if we're talking about Christmas being observed or Kwanzaa, bouquet is about gifts, right? And so there may be something having to do with a complication. If I read the cards across, a complication, snake, with a gift, bouquet. Or a complication, snake, that comes as a surprise, bouquet. And then in between that, there is going to be some sort of delay, setback, or postponement. So it could even be for somebody, if this is the scenario that's coming to me in my mind, is that if someone's waiting until the last minute maybe to do some Christmas shopping, there may be some sort of complication with getting someone's gift on time, and that may be the challenge. The gift may not arrive on time. Now, bouquet is also a face card. So now we have the King of Hearts with house, king of clubs with snake, and now we have the queen of spades with bouquet. So we have two queens and a king. So there's something having to do with, possibly a situation involving three people. And that may be the challenge, that may be the block, that may be the obstacle. But again, it's making me feel like it's more about maybe something having to do with an invitation to someone's home, or an invitation regarding a family or a family member, or actually something having to do with a gift. And it makes me feel like if someone's waited to the last minute to do some shopping, then there may be about when the gift will arrive. All right, so now let's take a look at the card on the opposite side. And here we have a whole lot of challenging cards this week. So now here we have the mouse, or the mice, I should say, card. And so the first thing that I usually go with when it comes to mice is a couple of things. First, I usually think of worry and stress, right? So now it could be like if we go with the idea that somebody has waited until the last minute to do some gift shopping, and there's been some sort of delay or setback with a gift, then of course delay, setback with a gift leads to or results in worry and stress. That would be the first thing. The other thing here is that mice can also be a card about loss. So it could be like somehow the delay or the setback is that the gift gets lost, right? We read the card straight down. Here we have delay or setback with a gift due to loss, right? Or that we have a surprise bouquet that gets ruined, because for me, mice can represent something that gets ruined. So, but again, we have snake, we have mountain, and we have mice. Three challenging cards in the layout this week, right? So there's that. Now, it could be for the person who maybe is going home for the holidays, invitation, family. Then here, maybe mice is saying, don't let the experience stress you out. And here's where I'm going with this. Remember, one of the meanings that I have for a house is that it can represent being comfortable in your own skin, right? Well, here with mice, sometimes we have this card meaning, being lessened or something being diminished, right? So it's making me feel like, first off, don't let things bother you or be a nuisance, because mice can be things that bother us, irritate us, annoy us, and are nuisances or pests, right? So it's about like making sure that you do your level best, not to let what would normally trigger you to trigger you, right? Then the other thing I was going with that is like, don't let other people discount you or diminish you and who you are. And it would be, again, people that are close to home or actual family members, because I'm seeing that as well. Because here we may have a problem with bouquet. I'm coming back to bouquet. There may be a problem with being appreciated, because here we have appreciation being lost. Appreciation is dwindled, right? So there may be, for some people, having to deal with issues around appreciation, and again, it may have to do with the home or family in particular. Okay, so now let's look at the final card, the outcome, or what we can aspire to. Yeah. Okay, and so the card, I'll hold it close for a moment, is the anchor card. And so the anchor card can represent, in light of what I was just talking about in terms of being comfortable, and appreciation, then this is about stability and security, right? Because anchor keeps things in place, right? So I'm seeing that as, again, feeling a sense of stability and security, right? So this is security and stability in the family if I mirror the cards. And then the middle card, of course, would be saying too, security and stability can be a challenge in the family or for the family. And then if we go with that, this is in the position of what we can aspire to, then one of the meanings I have for anchor is it can represent hope, So even though we have some challenging cards here, at the top, anchor being hope can represent, perseverance, moving through a challenging situation, doing it with a sense of hope, like not losing hope, don't lose sight of hope. And it could be that, in order to work through the situation, this is a work related card for me, so it could be a matter of just like, in terms of the perseverance, it's about actually doing the work, working through the situation. And I'm just going to say this in the more metaphorical sense, is this card usually can represent physical labor or manual labor, so it's about like rolling up your sleeves in the metaphorical sense and doing your work. Right? So I see that with anchor. So again, it could just be a matter of, if this is going to be a challenging week, then it's about, hoping for the best. Even though some of the cards showed some sort of challenge, it's still about hoping for the best or having high hopes for the situation overall. And I would even say with mice at the other end, at the lower end, it's about not letting people steal or rob you of your sense of hope. Because the mice card can represent like stealing something. And so on that note, I will go ahead and round out and end this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm James Himm Mitchell, and as I close, I'd like to thank you for sharing space here with me for this week's reading, and I look forward to sharing the same space with you again in our next video reading together. So until then, I'm hoping that you have a wonderful day. And for those of you who are going to be observing either Christmas or Kwanzaa or even both, I'm hoping that you have a happy holiday and a joyous Kwanzaa. Take care.